Okay, men, black men especially, please answer me this. Why is it that many of y'all refuse to go to curated dating events?
Okay, so I recently went to a singles event and it was 90% women.
I went to a singles event last night and I have to say it was the worst singles event I've ever been to.
Okay, men, black men especially, please answer me this. Why is it that many of y'all refuse to go to curated dating events? I'm talking about events where the vibes are already set, the ambiance is right, the music is good, the drinks are flowing. You're basically guaranteed to meet somebody who's actually interested in you and is serious about dating. You're pretty much set up to win. Conversation starters and prompts so there's no awkward silence, a bit of a structured experience, and maybe a little turn up afterward. So my question is it that dating events like this require a certain type of intention and vulnerability, and the patriarchy taught you that pursuing connection with effort somehow makes you less masculine or something? Because the patriarchy told y'all that you're supposed to just stumble into love and not actually prepare for it? Because we see how that's turning out. The women are doing the work. They're showing up, they're investing, they're trying something different, stepping out of their comfort zone, taking risks. Isn't risk taking a part of masculinity too? So what is it really? Is it the event itself or the unlearning the patriarchy part?
Okay, so I recently went to a singles event and it was 90% women. And I was wondering, like, where's all the dudes? I don't know, but they're not there. And that's cool, not like I care.
I went to a singles event last night and I have to say it was the worst singles event I've ever been to. I had a horrible time and here is why. So first of all, a little bit of backstory. I have been to so many singles events in the past. I go to regular events by myself all the time. I'm fine with that. I'm happy with it. I actually enjoy it, okay? And last night I thought was going to be no different. I thought I was going to go there, enjoy myself, and even if I don't meet somebody, I'm still going to have a nice evening. First of all, everything is literally going wrong, right? And my nail is like chipping. I'm not happy with my makeup. My hair comes out crossier than right now, okay? It was like so bad and I was not happy with my look. But basically it was a speed dating event but with food, and every course the men would kind of change tables and the women would stay seated. So every single table I was on, I was seated with people with like just terrible energy, men who were just really not my cup of tea, who just I would never date in 1,000 years. And I actually came across a few people that, you know, like when you sit next to someone and they kind of suck your energy. I had this several times. So many people were so negative and I was just completely over it. I was just like, you know what, I just don't want to be here right now. I stayed and I was not happy I stayed. I almost got into an argument with one of the men. And I thought, you know what? These kinds of people are not ready for a woman like me. They don't understand what's really going on. I want more, okay? So I was not happy with the selection. Not one of those men in there was my cup of tea. And I was just over the whole thing, to be honest. The energy was off. I didn't like, yeah, it was just all wrong. And it made me realize that I'm not going to another singles event. I'm not doing it. I don't need to. I can meet people other ways as well. I can go to regular events. I can go out on just walking. I can meet people. I can do whatever, online dating. So I don't need that. Okay, so I basically got to a stage, I feel like I'm above singles events, and the people who are going are really not in the league that I want them to be in. So that's my 2 cents. How are you guys feeling about singles events? Are you going to them still? Are you over them? Are they not on your level? Let me know in the comments.
A 1,000 single women showed up to a church singles event, and only like 20, 30 men showed up.
At this point, I don't understand why anyone is still surprised over this. Between the drizzle movement and the bear versus the man argument, and the general huge amounts of men that have been speaking out about how marriage and relationships are just not worth it, and that dating is only ever worth it if you end up finding a unicorn where she's like putting in effort just like you are. With all of that very much known, it is no surprise that men are rather staying home, keeping their peace, chilling, working, or ignoring people.
If you're a man, do you agree with this comment? Because I actually think it's the perfect explanation for why dating has become crap and why more men aren't going to dating events. The first problem is men don't even realize that that these events are out there. And so first of all, we have an awareness issue. The second problem is those that are thinking about events then get intimidated to go because they fear the rejection. And the opposite is true. Think about it this way. If you went out with your friends to the pub, you're full of a room of people in relationships, people who may be single but have no interest in flirting with you that night, or people who may or may not fancy you. Whereas at a dating event, you know that everybody in the room is single and everybody wants to talk to everybody else. No one wants to stand alone and everyone wants to be approached, if not also approach other people. Women have woken up to this idea that dating events are a great opportunity to just get out there, meet people organically, see if there's a connection in real life. For some reason, men haven't figured that out yet, and all the men are still on the apps. And it's actually proven. A lot of apps have more men than women, and a lot of events have more women than men. So we've got this gender imbalance issue, and we're all just trying to meet each other. So I really appreciate that you don't want to get rejected at a dating event, but A, rejection is life, and B, you're actually less likely to get rejected at a dating event than you are in the wild, and I really want you to try one.
Oh boy.
I would love if we could be honest and rebrand singles events as The Truth, which is a perfect place to meet your brand new platonic best friend. Men don't go to these. Men do not go to singles events. Stop paying money to go to singles events. Men don't go. Stop it.
I'm heading to the Sounds game because they're doing a wristband night where at the Bandbox, which I hear has new drinks, I'm excited to check them out. You pick out your wristband if you're single or taken or here for vibes or whatever, and no less than at least 10 people sent this to me. So I'm gonna go check it out. I'm really excited. It looks like maybe the sun's even trying to come out. Should be a good night at the ballpark. This does not bode well. We're here, as is part of the course with this experiment. There are no more wristbands. The game only started 5 minutes ago. They brought in fake wristbands, so we got one. So far, I've seen one guy that I went on a date with years ago, and I've seen him on the apps like 15 times since then. We've never matched again, so I feel like he's out. Update, tried talking to one guy who was age appropriate. Not into it. I get the sense that he's looking for a younger woman. Whatever. That I got my dreamsicle. So I'm happy. Well, in terms of meeting someone, not a successful event. But you know what? I was there with friends. I ran into some more friends. It's so dark. I met some new friends. Thank you to a couple of you who came and said hi. It was great to meet you. So all in all, a really fun night. It was a beautiful night at the ball field. I always love coming to Sounds games. So it was fun. Oh, I got some Sounds swag too. That's fun. Just no luck on the dating front. Oh well.
Men don't like dating events, and I have a theory. If you're a man and you don't enjoy dating events, I want you to tell me in the comments if I am right or what is your reasoning. So I have gone to a lot of dating events, speed dating events, all the things. And for the most part, it will be 80% women and 20% men, even though there are so many men in the world. And I don't think that all men are bad or all men are douchebags. That's not my theory. I think that men don't know what they're going to experience when they get there. But I also think that they have gone to some of these events and they don't like what they have experienced. I think that men feel like maybe it's like a meat market, that how women are going to be, or how I think women, I don't think I would say afraid. I think that men are just like, this is going to be too intense, going to be way over the top. And I don't want to experience that, because whether I'm going to church events or I'm going to dating events in general, men don't show up. So men, I want you to tell me, why don't you guys like dating events?
My name is Pink and I'm really glad to meet you. You were recommended to me by some people. Hey, is this illegal?
Everyone on this, don't mind me, I'm rolling out. Everyone on this app is like, where are all the hot guys in New York City? I go to these bars, I bar hop, and I see zero hot men. Where are they? They're running, babes. Unfortunately, they're running on the East River or the West Side Highway. More so on the West Side Highway. Saw way more eye candy last weekend when I ran there. Sometimes Central Park is good, but I think the rivers are your best bet. They go to bed early on the weekend and they wake up and they run. That's where the hot men are at.
So, you're not single, and I'd like to ask you, when you were single, would you have gone to a dating event on your own or to a kind of party for single?
When I was like properly in the whole like dating phase, I think one of the sort of like apprehensions was the fact that you turn up and usually there'd be a load of guys. So with that, it felt like a bit of an imbalance. So it didn't feel like you probably actually had much of a chance of actually meeting a girl.
Did you all see the video of the girl who went to the singles event, and she said when she got there were a lot of beautiful women. The women were drop dead. You know, the women were women as we do. And she said the vast majority of men that were there, they weren't her cup of tea. It's like not a lot of the women's cup of tea. So I'm assuming probably maybe not attractive, tall, money, you know, the things. But she said the other small pocket of men that were there that were the women's type, they were basically acting like they were the prize. And she was like, yeah, singles events are not my thing. Now, here's my take on this. I've never been to a singles event, and I won't say I'll never go, but I will probably say I will never go, okay? The reason being, those singles events, I really feel like they're not giving what a lot of the girls expect them to give. One, more times than not is going to be a large majority of women, because women value relationships in a way that men don't. Okay, women look at relationships and seeking companionship in a way that men don't. Not saying men don't value these things, right? I'm just saying we look at it differently. Okay, y'all get it. And before somebody gets in my comments talking about, well, my best friend's sister's baby daddy who's locked up and now out of jail, he found his baby mother at a singles event. Listen, there's always going to be an exception to every rule. Okay, there's always an exception to every rule. But that is not the rule. That is an outlier. And for me, I just can't bring myself to do it. Honestly, I just can't see myself doing the whole, all right, here you're on a date with this person for 5 minutes, and then you're on a date with the next person for 5 minutes. I don't know. I don't even know if that's how it really happens. I don't know if that's just a movie thing or if that's really how it works. How does it work? I will say, though, my friend did go to a singles event, and she said that she literally went there just so she can get comfortable talking to men. She was so introverted. She said, I wasn't going there looking for a man. I was just going there to get comfortable speaking to men. I'm like, girl, okay. I think if you're going there, one, for that, or for a plot, or really to just, you know, get into the dating world, fine. But I think if women are going there like expecting to find their husband, lower the expectations. But yeah, I think if you are actually actively looking for a partner and you're like, man, the men's are not at the single event, they're not gonna be there, girls. Especially the men's you're looking for, they're not gonna be there. Go to the places men's want to be. Okay, go to the bars, go to the sporting events.
Ain't no desirable man going to no speed dating event. I don't know who need to hear that, but before y'all keep wasting y'all money and time going to these speed dating events, don't do it if you expecting men that you would actually want to be there, because they're not. If there are any men there at all, they're definitely not going to be the type of man that you would want. They're going to be undesirable, but they won't be actual top tier attractive men with things going for themselves. You know why? Because if a man is actually desirable, why would he need to come to a speed dating event? He wouldn't. Desirable men get women constantly, whether it's walking out the house, going to the store, going to the gym, going to school. They don't have a problem in the woman department. See, y'all having a problem in the men department, which is why you're at a speed dating event. But these men are not having an issue with women when they're desirable. They don't have a problem getting girls. You have a problem getting men. And that's something that you need to work on. But as far as going to these speed dating events and thinking that you're going to meet actual men that you would want, they're not going to be there. You'll be good if you even get any men there at all, even the ones that nobody wants.
There's this massive missed opportunity amongst men not going to dating events. It's this weird gender imbalance where the dating apps have more men than women and the dating events have more women than men. So it's like a simple solution. Everybody just, try the other side. I've heard men say that part of the reason why they don't want to go is, they face rejection as it is. Why would they walk into a room with lots of people who are going to reject them? And actually the opposite is true. At a dating event, A, everyone is single. And B, everyone wants to chat. Like everyone's there to meet new people. So your chances of it's way lower pressure to go over to someone and introduce yourself than it is in a bar. The second thing that I think is a challenge, I think it's fair that dating event companies are charging because at the end of the day, it does involve marketing and logistics and venue negotiations and all of that to secure a venue. And I actually think £15 is a really fair price. A lot of events in London are 25, and then ones that include dinner go to 60, even 100. But dating organizers have a really big responsibility to make sure that they are regulating ticket sales. So I know several dating event companies that will limit the number of female tickets available. So let's say they sell 5 female tickets. They'll close female tickets until 8 men buy a ticket, and then they'll reopen female tickets. The other thing that I'm seeing a massive rise is dating events selling pairs of tickets. In other words, a man and a woman buy a ticket together. And this is great because there's an element of pre-vetting. Because, let's tie it all together, if women are the ones going to dating events, if they can buy a ticket, and because they know about it, and bring their male friend, it feels like everybody's winning. So I hear you, and I'm sad for you that you've had bad gender ratio experiences. I had one of those. I went to one 14 women, 1 man, and he was an icky man. But I encourage you to keep trying. And I've actually got lots of recommendations for different events that you could try. So let me know and I'll share them below. Okay, bye.
Okay, I have to address these comments like this one. To be honest, I have learned a lot in my comment section. I didn't know. I've never thought about the perspective of a man going to one of these events. Honestly, and that was a genuine question. Me asking, what do men look for? Why don't they want to go to these events? I really wanted to know. And I think from these comments, I really got good insight on why they don't go, what makes them stay away from them, how do they actually feel about singles mixers. And it's so interesting. And based on what this person said, honestly, I kind of have to agree. I think there's a lot of pressure for men sometimes to just be in a room full of women that just judge them. I think even when obviously me going to one of these singles events, I see men that just aren't my type, right? And I'm not going to approach them. I'm not even going to look their way. And then meanwhile, they have a bunch of women, but if they don't look a certain way or they're not up to par to what women our standards, then no one's going to approach them. So I do feel sometimes they do have a lot of pressure. And I understand why they don't want to come to these events. But based on these responses, I think I'm gonna retire these singles events. I don't think it's worth it. I think I'd rather just go back to meeting people in the wild. And yeah, I don't think there's ever gonna really be value in it based on what I'm looking for. I think it's gonna be really hard. So thank you guys for the insight. It was really eye-opening, and I'm just gonna go back to the streets, respectfully, the godly streets.
A lot of people ask, why aren't men allowed at our events? And the answer is really simple. We don't want them there. For anyone who doesn't know, me and Rachel host monthly events, all female, and they are so much fun. We hire out a bar and we invite maybe 200, 300 girls. A lot of them shop by themselves, have never met before. When it comes to nightlife, there is just a real lack of women-only spaces. You can just come and feel really safe and supported and not have to worry about certain stuff. Sometimes you just really need a night with your girlies.
I went to a singles mixer yesterday and I left feeling more defeated than hopeful. There was a room full of beautiful, accomplished women, a lot of nice men, but only a few of them that everyone wanted. And the very few acted like they were the prize. They literally would only talk amongst themselves. They would not initiate conversation with women unless the host told them to. We had a moment where we were forced to just go and talk to somebody new for 8 minutes, which I thought was a little too long. But that was the only time that they would initiate conversation with the women.
I personally don't think that speed dating is the best place to go if you are picky about looks. Speed dating is probably not going to be the place that you find like the most conventionally attractive person, because on a balance of probabilities, they generally don't need speed dating. And so a lot of the time, if somebody is very conventionally attractive, especially guys, and they're going to a speed dating event, a similar thing is going to happen that happens on a lot of dating apps where the like most conventionally attractive guys get the lion's share of interest. And here's my thing, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, because I don't really like this whole like prize conversation. I don't believe that in a healthy relationship anybody is the prize. I don't think that we should view men and women like prizes to be won. I think that people are human. But when we're talking about people who generally have a lot of options, a lot of times those people do act like they have options. And it makes sense. When you have options, your standards or how you expect to be treated kind of rises because you know that there's another opportunity around the corner. So I'm actually not somebody who agrees with the common rhetoric that's going on now about how you should only date within your looks league, how you should only date people who are as conventionally attractive as you are. I think it's personally fine to only go for people that you're really, really attracted to, even if by conventional beauty standards, they might technically be more conventionally attractive than you. But the caveat with that is that I do think you have to have realistic expectations about what dating that kind of person is actually going to mean. Because if you want somebody who has a lot of options, and when I say a lot of options, I'm saying options that they would actually find suitable to date. Because I don't know what those men's preferences were, but in this example, I know that some women will say, well, I have a lot of options too, so it's equal. And it's like, okay, but let's say that that guy would have been happy going on dates with any number of women at that event. But the same is not true for the women at the event. So even if those women technically have just as many options, it's not options that she actually wants. When we're talking about the options of people that you actually are attracted to and would be willing to go on a date with versus the person that you're trying to get and their options and how many people that they would find suitable to go on a date with. If you are aiming for somebody who technically has more options than you that they would happily go on a date with, that is going to come with more competition, which means that you might have to do more in the beginning. And this is the part where it's like, I know a lot of people don't like to hear it. And it really isn't gender specific. But in this specific context, it's like, yeah, those men might be used to women approaching them, asking them on dates, showing them initial interest. Because sometimes when you're a guy and you're really hot, there are actually a decent amount of women who approach you first. And so some of those guys, they just figure, hey, I won't approach that many women anymore. I'll just wait for them to come to me. And they can do that because, like I said, they have a lot of options and they're attracted to a lot of their options. So if you're a woman who wants that guy, you can choose to not do it, but then you might not get that guy. And that's kind of the trade-off that you have to decide whether you are comfortable with doing that, whether that is not worth it for you. But it's kind of just the reality. Like I said, I don't agree with the prize conversation, but people with options, they generally tend to act like they have options. And they are less likely, in my experience, to chase or really court anybody very strongly, unless that person is like their 10-10. But a lot of times they don't anyway because they're just so used to getting that attention. The last thing I'll say though is this. I do personally wonder if she was bi or a lesbian, if she went to that event, if she would find most of those women attractive enough to actually go on a date with. Because I do think that the sort of standards when you know that sexual attraction really isn't involved versus who you would actually choose if you knew that you would eventually have sex with that person, I do think they tend to be different. So one video went viral a couple of weeks ago where thousands of women were in the comments complaining that they're used to dating men, and then once they started dating women, they barely got any matches on dating apps, despite seeing many attractive women on those apps. The women in the comments were talking about, wow, I didn't realize how picky women are even when they're assessing other women. So when I see comments like that, and then I see statements like what she said, I just have to wonder if it would be the same if she was actually into women. Because as a woman who also dates both men and women, I think a lot of women who date women are pretty picky. Now, they might not be as picky as dating men, but I still think they're pretty picky. I don't really think that most women who like women would go to a speed dating event that was queer and would be interested in going on a date with most of the women. That's my personal opinion, even if we're just basing it off of attraction alone. But all of this is just my personal opinion, so let me know what you guys think. Bye.
Men don't come to Muslim, social, or matrimony events, whether it be Muslim, Christian, whatever kind it is. They don't come because of the huge burden that it takes in order to approach someone and then get rejected. And it happens multiple times. At a certain point, where does the ego go? It's hitting the floor. And no woman wants to be the one to make the first move because it's something about being chased, pursued, and wanted by a man as a woman that is something that you can't really change. It's just biology. And then here comes the huge discrepancy where women want to be approached, and there's a vast amount of women at these events and a very small picking of men that are at these events because, the other ones are like, I'm not trying to go, be rejected, maybe not find my type. It gets to a point where it's debilitating and it's hard. And I can completely understand because, like I've said to you guys before, I've always been the token black girl to come to these events. And it's debilitating, it's hard, and feeling rejected sucks. But if you could go to a Muslim dating event or Muslim social event, right, as a man, and not feel rejected, know who's available and who's not available by a color wristband system, have games, have drinks, have food. So it's more so like you're kind of chilling, you're vibing, it's a fun night. It's not awkward to be there, it's not embarrassing to be there. You may potentially leave with money or a gift card. It changes the balancing of ratios drastically. Not only does it change the ratio of men and women at these events, but it also goes and changes the psychology behind thinking that all social events suck. I have people who come to my events, and I'm the first one. You telling me you haven't been to like 5 others? They've been thrown by different companies, different hosts, but I'm your first, and you keep coming back. Love that for me. But that just goes to show you that a lot of these events that are curated for the Muslim Ummah or the Muslims in that city are curated by people who are either not professionals, I'm sorry to say that, or curated by people of the male psyche. So they know kind of what's needed to happen, but because it's the male psyche, there's no facets in place to make female safety, female security, and females feel welcome, adorned, and loved, if that makes any sense. In a perfect world, there should be 2 hosts, one male, one female, so that way we can cater to both psyches. And that way, once we have them both cater to both different psyches, we fix the problem in terms of men feeling rejected and women not feeling pursued. Because when men feel loved, celebrated, and not rejected, they're going to get more confidence in approaching women. And if there are icebreakers or games in place where both men and women can approach each other, that just doubles your opportunity of finding your person. Easy solve, no? And at least that was a thought that I had before I started my company. And since then, girl, we've been up, we've been booming. But because I've had this ideology, I've been able to run a lot of these events with Halal Harmony across the country, whether it be Calgary, Edmonton, and inshallah soon Vancouver. And because I was able to do this in all these other different cities, each event I've learned something new, and each event I've implemented something better, whatever works and whatever doesn't work, because we can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and thinking we're going to get a different result, especially when the epidemic of Muslims not getting married is so high and it's so prominent. I need to get you guys off these dating apps because these dating apps are not going to last in the next 5 years. Organic, cultivated, you know, um, connections are the most important. Even if you pick up a hobby, whether it's a social event and not a matrimonial event, meeting people in person has no competition, honestly. Like these dating apps, once you meet the person and you actually connect, you go on the date, sometimes they're not the person that they say they are. They're not the person that they showed up to be, or they're catfishing you. But when you're in person, you can take the person as they are. And meeting people in person is just so refreshing, and you kind of get that gut feeling whether or not they're that person or that spark right away. And once I get you guys off these dating apps, I'm just going to show you how beautiful it was back in the 90s. Love was loving back in the day. Meeting people for hobbies, at art galleries, at openings, just being able to look at someone across the room and see that spark and be like, I know you like me and I know that I like you. And then going from there. Yeah, let's create spaces where people are able to meet in person because that's the way it is and that's how it's always been. Let's go back to our roots.
They were really struggling with why men are not attending these events, and I had the same question.
First, let's consider that maybe the scheduling of these events is not opportune for the type of men you're trying to attract. So make sure that's not the problem. And then I'm going to tell you another problem that I think it might actually be with the men not wanting to go to these events. It is far easier for a woman to walk into a room full of women she does not know than it is for a man to do the same thing. That's in general.
I walked into that event last night and I wanted to die. Everyone was so short. Every single man there was like less than 5'10", or 5'10" or less, I mean. None of them are attractive. No one, not one was attractive. Not even like, oh, he could, no, not close.
Guys have made it in and they got to just pick wherever they wanted to sit and who they wanted to start dating, and I'm alone. So many girls. Well, I know we're all like, so the guys paid to be here.
Oh boy.